Okay, this is the Week 6 training tape for the 2022 football season. We have 17 plays here. We're going to go through a lot of mechanics situations and a few offensive holds, but hopefully we can just get right to the point and deal with some of these situations. So this first play is something that we don't see very often, and it's really great job by this crew not to take this play off, which sometimes we do on extra points. So what we'll see at the bottom of the screen, we're going to want to take a look at what happens here. And we know by rule that on any kick play that we are not allowed to have blocking below the waist. So what you will see here is a clear block below the waist right there by number 5. Number 5 goes down and blocks below the waist. But look at what happens to number 5 after the play. 61 gets up and shoves him in the head. So we have 2 fouls on this play, okay? We have a live ball blocked below the waist on the kicking team, and we have a dead ball personal foul by number 61 on the, let's just call him the defense right there. So this crew handles this perfectly, okay? So they have we go to the defense first because we have a good try. And we ask them, do they want the foul for the block below the waist, which they accept. So we're going to go 15 yards back from the 3-yard line to the 18-yard line. Next we go to the offense in this situation and say, we have a dead ball personal foul on number 61 of the defense. Well, the offense has options in this situation. They can A, take it half the distance to the goal line from the 18 to the 9, or they can bridge this foul by rule to the kickoff. And that's what they do in this situation. So the offense ends up kicking the next play from the 18-yard line, and then we penalize the defense 15 yards on the succeeding kickoff. So kudos to this crew for getting this play correct. I will admit I didn't... I'd had to look this one up myself because it didn't really understand it, but it was a great job. I know the crew got together, talked it over, got the play right, but this is something we don't see very often, especially, I'll play it again, the block below the waist, and then the shove. So great job by this crew to get both fouls and also to enforce this correctly. All right, this next play, we talked a lot about disconcerting acts by the defense, and let's take a look at what the defense is doing right here. Is any of this football-related movement? I have a hard time believing that because it looks to me that they're just trying to get the offense to jump. Okay, they're coming in and stomping, and I would have had no problem had the crew in this situation thrown a flag on the defense for a disconcerting act in this situation. So, as we progress through the season and as teams want to get cheap 5 yards here and there, let's keep an eye out for these situations. And if we see this and we don't call it, and we walk over to the head coach and say, Coach, listen, maybe I made a mistake, but you have to have a clear football move or shifting from side to side. It was very close whether or not you were just doing it to try to get the offense to jump. So let's keep an eye on those situations. All right, next play I want to take a look at. First, we're going to look at its 4th down. So we know after the play that we are going to kill the clock no matter what, because we are going to either have a first down by the offense or the defense is going to stop the offense, and then we're going to have a change of downs, which also causes the clock to stop. But we're going to run this play through, and I want you to do some mental gymnastics in your head and see what would you call in this situation and what would you have. All right, so obviously you see the foul, right? We have the runner stopped. He catches the ball, he's stopped, and he's drug, and then there's a clear second up to pick him up and slam the ball down. So what we do have is a personal foul for a late hit in this situation, picking him up and slamming him down. But what we also have is this occurred after the play was over, because you can see the head linesman right here is coming up and marking forward progress in this situation. So he's indicating that he has the play over in this situation. So anything after that point is after the play. So this crew correctly rules it, and what they do is the ball is turned over on downs, but this is a dead ball foul that goes against the defense. So then we now enforce it on the quote-unquote new offense half the distance to the goal line from the 15 to the 7.5 in this situation. But, this is a clear indication of when it is important to know the status of the ball, know what down it is, and know subsequently what the foul will do to the play after the situation. And a really good job here by this crew. Another one I want you to take a look at and try to do in your head before I explain. So I'm going to let the play run, and we looking at it, we're third down. The line to gain is the 35-yard line. So where would you spot the ball here? Okay, the correct spot here is actually short of the line to gain right here. The runner comes back on his own, and you can see he's not touched, he's not pushed backwards in any way, so his forward progress is not stopped in the field of play. And you can see right here, the ball is in his left hand, and as he crosses the sideline right about here, he's on the other side of the we'll say the 34-yard line, so the football should be spotted right here, which is exactly what we had with this spot. And it was a great job by this line of scrimmage official to recognize this and mark the ball short of the line to gain here. So, keep this in mind as we're officiating these games. And, when is forward progress stopped? There was no touching by the team on the defensive team to push the ball carrier backwards. Therefore, where the ball carrier goes out on his own is where we spot the ball, and we do here right about the 34.5-yard line. Good job by this crew. All right, this next play, again, we have a fourth down situation, and we look at the line to gain, and the line to gain looks like to me it is about the 16-yard line. So let's take a look at what happens on this play. We have a pass out to the side, and then we have a elbow down, and where's the ball? But what's nice done by this official is you can see him, if he knows it's fourth down, he comes in, squares in, and kills the clock. Okay, what we need to do maybe a little bit more efficiently is to get the ball to this head linesman at this point so he can put the ball down, which is what he does, puts it right down. And, we could see at the top left of the screen, this is play 124 in the game. So we know it's getting near the end of the game. We don't like the measure, but since we're in between, we have a tick here and we have a tick here, we're not really sure exactly. We're not on a line mark. So the crew does a good job and measures in this situation. And, it ends up that they come short of the line to gain, but, they did everything that was correct mechanically in this situation. Now, what I want to do is point out one thing on the line of scrimmage official at the top of the screen. And you'll see that he slides downfield just like he's supposed to when his key takes him downfield. But now watch what happens when the runner catches the ball. He then takes a couple steps backwards. Okay, I understand we want to keep ourselves safe, but in this situation, I think it's far enough inbounds that we're not worried about where it should be. And even if there is contact, the contact's gonna take them out and behind us. So it would be best right now in this situation, as once the ball is caught, we're still standing here because we're a little bit closer to the line to gain. Okay, right now we are almost 6-7 yards away, and he backs up even further, so that brings us even further from the line to gain. The elbow hits. I'm not criticizing the spot here. What I'm criticizing a little bit is the mechanics in this situation. So we work best when our eyes are still. So if we could have stayed still at about the 21-yard line, it would have been a better look maybe to see if we got this spot correct. All right, next play. What we don't see very often is offensive pass interference, but we need to pay a little bit more attention to this. And in this situation, you can see that we have 5 wides. We have 3 trips to the bottom of the screen and 2 receivers at the top of the screen. So in this situation, the referee, we talked about where they're supposed to be looking. The referee and umpire almost have to take the whole line themselves, because the line of scrimmage officials are probably going to be taking these players while the deep wings take the 2 on the outside. And whenever we have these situations with 5 wides, we have to be aware that most of the time that somebody from up here is coming over the middle, and whether it's that person or that person, somebody in the bottom of the screen is coming over the middle, because this formation is created to create confusion and spread the offense out, and especially if they're running man to man. And you could see that they're lining up in a man coverage here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So if you can pick up on this, that's when offensive pass interference, or whenever quote unquote pick plays can help out the most. So we take a look at what's going on over the middle of the screen, and we see number 2 catch the ball. So how does number 2 get so wide open? Well, if we rewind it back a little bit and we take a look at what happens to this receiver first. So first, what happens to this receiver is he's contacted by the defense, okay? He's pushed, but then regathers himself, and as you can see, he throws a chicken wing out to that player on the defense. Now, if he doesn't throw that chicken wing out, we can say, you know what, maybe the defense put him in that position to make that contact. But it's clear in this situation that he goes out of his way to make contact with number 2. And this is a foul for offensive pass interference that I feel that either the line judge or the head linesman, who should be at this point looking through the belt in the middle of the field, should be able to pick up in this situation. All right, this next play, we're going to talk about the difference between defensive holding and defensive pass interference. So we're going to take a look at what happens to this receiver right here. As you can see, clear restriction, whether you want to call it pass interference or defensive holding. Now, they call it the DPI, defensive pass interference, which is the right call here. But what I want us to do is we're going to go through our process here. So we see the hold right here. So at this point, you can see he's looking right here, right where he's supposed to be looking. We see the grab, go find the ball. The ball's in the air already, and that's where we classify this as a defensive pass interference. Had the ball still been in the quarterback's hands, we could have defensive holding in that situation there too. All right, these next 2 plays have to deal with the new rule that has intentional grounding, and we talked earlier in the season about how we do not call ineligibles downfield when it is obvious that the pass is being thrown away and no one can receive it. And what I mean by that is this quarterback would have to get out here and throw the ball out here on the track where nobody could have the ability to intercept it or be involved in a play where they could make a play on the ball. So before we get started, though, I want to take a look at the mechanics, the initial position at the referee here. So we're snapping the ball from about the 27-yard line, and he's standing about the 14-yard line. He's about 13 yards deep. Get a little bit deeper here, and I think referees, we want to be, the width is good right here, but we want to get maybe a yard or so deeper, because what will happen here is the quarterback will roll, as you can see, outside the box. Does he get outside the box? Because we have to have our lines of demarcation. Does he get outside the free blocking zone? Well, in this formation right here, the ball is snapped, looks like from the hash. Because and don't get confused with the hash marks. This game was done at a college field without high school hash marks. So, don't make the comment that the crew put the ball outside the hash marks. These are college hash marks. The high school hash marks are a little bit wider. So what we have is the line of demarcation of the free blocking zone just around the hash marks, maybe outside. But we know that, we give them the benefit of the doubt, and we do here. They got outside the hash marks and outside the free blocking zone to be allowed to legally ground the ball beyond the line of scrimmage without a receiver in the area. But what we also see here is we see numerous linemen downfield prior to the ball being released, and now that it is released. And the crew does a good job understanding the situation. The ball hits right here, okay? So it is still catchable, probably most by the defense, number 19 here. And you can see here that number 19 is getting blocked by a lineman while the ball's in the air. So, there's a lot to process in this play. And, the crew ends up going with an ineligible downfield, which is great in this situation. Look what we have downfield. The ball was released. They were well beyond the 2-yard marks. But in this situation, we could also have offensive pass interference here, because this player on the defense has a right and can probably get to the ball, maybe if he's not blocked. So it's a lot to process. It's just something to talk about in your pregame in this situation, but the crew does a really good job handling this situation, understanding the rule and the philosophies behind the rule, to get this play correct for an ineligible downfield. So here's another play where, we have that same instance happen. So the quarterback drops back and he gets outside the free blocking zone at this point and he throws the ball away beyond the line of scrimmage. Okay. Well, he's obviously throwing the ball away because he's going to get sacked. Yes, there is a receiver in the area, so somebody could have made a play on the ball because the ball lands in bounds. And then we have a flag for ineligible downfield. So again, a nice play here by the crew, because we're snapping the ball, if I'm not mistaken, about the 29-yard line. Let's take a look. And you can see right here that this lineman is clearly and obviously beyond the 2-yard mark. The umpire realized it. Hopefully the head linesman at the top of the screen probably realized it. Then the flag gets thrown for an ineligible downfield. So another good job by this crew to get the ineligible downfield. All right, these next few plays are holding plays. First, we're going to take a look at this tackle right here. And watch what he subtly does with his inside left arm to the defensive end who tries to cut to beat him to the inside. Beats him to the inside and he hooks him, right? And that hook's just enough to cause a restriction because the pass comes out really close after the fact. I mean, he could have gotten through here, maybe made a play on here. It's enough of a turn to call for offensive holding, and this is a quality holding call that brings back a long run. Next play, I want you to take a look at this wingback right here. Wingback engages number 31 and just pulls him directly to the ground. Now, I don't know if we decided that maybe the tackle was close to where the restriction was and we didn't call the foul, but that shouldn't be our philosophy in this situation. If number 31 made the tackle in this instance and he got held, then we just say, you know what, that hold wasn't enough to stop him from making the tackle. But in this case, that restriction happens and allows the runner to gain a few extra yards, and we should have a foul down for a hold in that situation, for that takedown right there. All right, this next play, we're going to take a look at the center right here. And we know the center is the umpire's key. So the center gets beat to the inside and totally twists, turns, and tackles someone to the ground. And luckily, the referee is able to get this foul. So my question right here, and we'll talk about what happens at the end of the play in a moment, is where are we looking, umpires, in this situation? So when the ball is snapped, let's take a look at our umpire's eyes. So his eyes immediately are going over to here, and that's not where we should be looking because there's an obvious double team in that situation. Our eyes should be still on that center right there because if you can see right from the snap, that blitzing linebacker comes and beats the center, and that's where our eyes should be as the umpire. But luckily, the referee was able to watch the quarterback and then also see that takedown to get that hold. Now, let's take a look at the pass down the field. And, we could say, wow, this looks like defensive pass interference because, wow, why is the receiver only going up with one arm? But as you can see right here, the receiver is holding off the defender, and that's okay. He is maintaining his space in this situation. There's no shove off, but he is allowed to keep his arm out there and keep it stiff, holding off the defender in that situation because that's his space. Okay, and the defender is not holding down the arm of the receiver, so the crew exercises really good judgment here and not calling defensive pass interference. All right, we seem to be getting a rash of these lately, but another illegal forward pass that happens at the head linesman's side. So we have two receivers on each side. The head linesman stays put because he can watch his key, and then the passer goes beyond the line of scrimmage and throws the ball downfield, and the head linesman gets this. Now, if this were a case where the head linesman did go downfield, then responsibility of this passer then becomes to the line judge, which is at the bottom of the screen. So as the ball is going away from us, line of scrimmage officials, whether it's the line judge or head linesman, two things should be going through our mind in this situation. The first one should be, do we have any ineligible receivers downfield? The second thing that should be going through our mind is the quarterback, now that he is scrambling, where does he throw the ball in relation to the line of scrimmage? All right, next play, we're going to take a look at what happens to this player right here. And if I'm not mistaken, in our keys, we key of the kicking team, and this is our field judge's key. So that player goes downfield, and he gets pushed in the back, and it doesn't look like a big push, does it? But it's enough to push him past the runner. So I think what happened is, as this player crossed over here, our field judge gave him away to get to that player, but we need to stay with the threatened players here. In addition to this, our line judge at the bottom of the screen should be looking up through here to see the first person that's coming through, which is that number 2 receiver with that shove in the back, and that would be a quality call for a block in the back in that situation. All right, next play is great mechanics here by our referee, because we're snapping from the 10-yard line. Neither line of scrimmage official is going back to the goal line because we're outside that realm, but he sees the quarterback forward progress stopped at the 1, and he comes in very hard with his hand up, signifying out of his forward progress stopped at the 1, puts the ball down. Really good, strong call by the referee here. Creates no doubt because, of course, the defense thinks that they have a safety because they drug the quarterback in the end zone, but he was stationary at the 1. They got pulled in, and, just overall good job by the referee here. All right, punt mechanics. All right, I'm going to stop the ball with the ball in the air. So the ball's in the air, and where are our deep wings? We're almost in line with our kick returner. And at the clinic, we talked about this a lot. We want to be almost 7-8 yards behind the kick returner because that allows us to see the blocking in front, and it also allows us to see the possession by the kick returner. The third thing it allows us to do is when the ball hits beyond us and starts carrying towards the goal line, we're already back there. So deep guys and gals, let's work on our mechanics where we're supposed to be behind the deepest punt returner, not in line with the deepest punt returner. All right, our final play is a running into kicker play. The difference between running and roughing. Roughing is a hit to the plant leg or a forcible hit to the chest, which significantly knocks over the punter. Running into is any contact with the kicking leg. So what you'll see in this play is there's obviously there is contact to the kicking leg in this play, and the referee does a really good job by just calling running into the kicker in this situation, and the 5 yards, and then they re-kick the ball. So keep up the good work, keep up the good communication with the coaches. They're really happy to get the explanations from you all on the fouls. It really helps your cases whenever you're making the foul call if you can properly explain it to them. Any questions on any of these plays or anything going forward, please let me know, and good luck this week.